planet Earth, and not just Earth, but specifically Earth, because I think it's the best example, is specifically designed to be irrefutable of God and, irrefutable of God's touch or the universe's touch or the creator's touch or whatever you want to refer to it as, right? Not here to apply a specific term to, the creator. I guess we can just reference, this entity as that, but you can use whatever term you want. But I think there's more than enough evidence, honestly, out there to suggest that, you know, humans aren't the ones who created everything and it wasn't a big bang. So the theory of that to me it's like it's not really it's not something I can entertain, a big bang, like okay, there was a point of time in the universe in which a major collision formed, between planets or rocks that collided together to become planets. And from that point in time, evolution began, the process of evolution of the introduction of humans and animals, insects, and, water, oxygen, like air, right? Like, all these elements, like, and, and I'm just like, what? Huh? Like, when people bring this up as a genuine conversation, to me personally, I'm just like, no, no, no. It just doesn't make sense, right? There's no way in which you can put it. There isn't any diction, any clever vocabulary you can use to convince me that that really is the truth. I'm not buying it. You don't sell me on that story. It's just not, like, it doesn't make sense. I just think, people would like to, they want to be able to, find a man-made definition because it's more comfortable, I think, to say that, the Big Bang Theory is the most accurate way to determine, our existence and everything that we experience within life, But I don't think that it really holds much merit because scientifically, and if the thing is, people like to say, oh, I believe in science, right? I'm not religious. I'm scientific. I'm both. Like, I would say I'm kind of religious-ish and scientific-ish, right? I think these both plays a huge factor in my life, the way I see things in the world as well, religion and science. And I think, but a lot of people like to just take up either one or the other, which I think is wrong, and I think both of religion and science actually back each other. When you do the deeper analysis and research, you'll see that they complement each other and they're not to be contrasted, but just complemented more so, right? I just think there's a lot of segregation between those who are purely scientific and are like, we had this major collision in the space-time continuum and that's how we have everything today. And it's like, no, that's just not the case. That's not it. Like, okay, so a bunch of rocks collided and now everything is perfect and the oxygen we breathe is exactly all the elements formed together from that collision to create the exact climate we need to survive, and we happen to end up as humans on here and not Mars or, or the moon or anywhere else. Like, you have to understand that when you really get down to just analyzing it from a scientific only perspective, it starts to get trivial, and you really start to break down, the hypotheses that people like to present and, ultimately find it to be false and fraudulent, the deeper you go down it, because there are some truths to science. And then when you go further down the rabbit hole, you can see clearly it doesn't have everything only to do with science and that it has something to do with something that can't be explained, because it's like, you could have a collision in space, okay? But then how do animals and humans appear out of a collision, right? Out of something that is meant to be destructive in nature. How does evolution of life happen in all of that destruction? And this is the type of points I bring up that people, can't answer. it's irrefutable, right, in its nature, because but then if I was to bring it up in a point of discussion or conversation, people would then be like, well, you can't prove there's a God or, higher being or anything like that. And I'm saying, I would be like, yeah, I mean, on a material level, I can't point directly to what this being looks like, where this being is within our realm and reality. I can't like point that out to you directly, but I can point to say like, okay, after a huge collision, humans start to appear or animals start to appear and they develop into humans. We became humans through apes. Even if you want to say we became humans through apes, it's like, okay, but how did apes appear? Out of thin air? No, like they were crafted and curated in a certain way. Why do they specifically have 4 arms and 4 legs? Like, all of this stuff. It's like, how does the planet, have enough resources for all of us? It's just, and I just find it to be like, there's not just science here, there's something spiritual here that we can't comprehend, but it exists. And that's just what it is, there's nothing further for me to discuss or to say other than that. And that is the closest thing to the truth that we can get, I think, within this topic. Because I'm just trying to think, and it's like, Mars is so specifically different from Earth. The sun is so specifically different from Earth. All these planets, they serve a purpose within our solar system. They work together in sync. It's like perfect. How does this happen? But then when we look at Earth and the events that take place on Earth due to the influence of humans, right, and our emotions, greed, just being chauvinistic and wanting to have it all and having more than the next person, which leads us to war and all of this stuff, but that's what we get to choose to do, right? And then animals are acting completely out of instinct, so they're all synchronized, whereas us humans, I think we still are. It doesn't matter if some people are evil and some people are good. I think we're supposed to have that so we know the difference. Because there wouldn't be any light without dark, vice versa. And it does sound cliche. It does sound vague. I know how I come across. I'm self-aware enough to say and admit that. But really, if you can do a better job of this than me, then I'd like you to, go in the comments, engage with me, and tell me specifically, how this world came to be purely off of science and, starting from, the very first, human or animal and how how that life force, the very first life force to appear on Earth, right? Explain to me how that just came to be, and how everything else came to be after it. And in all of its variance, in all of its uniqueness, and spread all across the world in the way that it has. Like, explain all of this. If you're able to break it down better than what I am and what I can do on this video, and I don't say this often, but I would like to propose that if you do watch this video and you like this content, and it gets you in your head about, the concepts that I bring up and challenging the ideas and takes that I have, then like the video, do me a favor, subscribe, share the video to a friend or a family member, and I'll catch you in the next one.